This podcast is brought to you by Independent Building Advice. IBA acknowledges traditional owners of the land and waters this podcast is recorded on. If you find this episode helpful, follow us for more so we can continue putting out free value for all homeowners in Australia. It really goes a long way. Enjoy the episode.
When you're building a home or renovating a home and you get to the point where you go, oh my gosh, we love it, you're getting the keys to the home, you walk into a bedroom or a main living area and you realise that PowerPoint is sticking out in the wrong spot and you're going, oh, that should have been behind that cupboard, and you look at your plans and that's what you signed off on. Or worse yet, you try to put a desk in an area to have power to it, but you forgot to put the PowerPoint there, or the light's not sitting in the right spot of your home, or you go to plug some Christmas lights in and the PowerPoint you hadn't thought about was in the right spot. Well, electrical planning is a major part of building, whether it be lighting or PowerPoints or double PowerPoints or where things are going to go. Do you have dimmers? All this kind of stuff. It's a major part of it. And it's something that you really need to, especially with the brick home, you really need to get right at the start. And if you don't, you're going to regret it later. I personally have built many homes, have made that same mistake, and it grinds my gears when I get it wrong. And today we've actually got an amazing electrician with us. We've got Tim Learbuch from Learings Electrical, who's had only 24 years experience doing residential, commercial, all sorts of homes in construction, small builders, medium builders, big builders. He's done it all. And the reality is he's got a lot of insights of how to plan these things out, how to do it better, get rid of a few myths that are out there about it, and make sure that, good advice on how to get your electrical right in your home. Welcome aboard, Tim.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, great stuff. So, look, lots of questions to ask out there, and obviously you see a lot of homes and problems that happen on site. What are some of the issues, the biggest issues that you see that are out there that clients make the mistake, and better yet, what can they do about it?
I guess the biggest one is probably people not understanding their electrical plans well. So they have a quick look at the plan, go over. They're usually overwhelmed. Oh, yep, that looks perfect. Yep, yeah. Great. And then they tick it all off. A lot of builders don't really go any further from that, and then it's just sort of off you go, gets built, and then exactly what you said, you move in, and this is in the wrong spot. Oh, we should have had this here. We should have done that there. And that's we see that all the time. So,
well, just on that, I see what I find with a lot of clients, because we actually go through a full electrical plan meeting with them, but it's almost an afterthought, because the working drawings come out and then they have their pre-start meeting and they're thinking of colours and layouts and stones plus electrical, and it's sort of an afterthought to the point of, oh, that dotted line, I didn't know what that dotted line meant. I thought that was just a pretty picture. Or they think, oh, well, this draftsperson's filled out the plans, therefore they must have thought about it, which they absolutely have not. And it's sort of like just a placeholder. So I think sometimes people are rushed at that point to spend the time learning about it, and then they just get overwhelmed or they just miss things. Is that what you sort of find?
Absolutely, yeah. And we do the same. We often speak to clients and say, you do realise you've got a heat light fan thing in this bathroom, plus a fan, exhaust fan, plus something else. And they go, oh, I didn't even know what that was. So I guess do I need that? And you go, well, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah. So yeah, it's people are clueless about it a lot of the time, which is a shame. There's a lot of builders out there that are really good. They educate their clients in that sort of thing. We certainly try and do it with the builders that we work for, and try and organise to be on site with the clients, walk through them with them, or at least have the builders do that, and so they can get a feel for their rooms and a feel for everything.
Yeah.
So that like I've said a million times, people, if you just put two PowerPoints in one corner of your room, you can never move your bed, you can never do anything. You're sort of limited for the next 15, 20 years. Your bed's got to be in that one spot.
Well, that's a great point. So just to expand on that, so what you said is that, so if you've got a bedroom, people will generally put two PowerPoints in that corner.
Yeah.
Whereas opposite sides gives you that flexibility, to move around. Is that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, or just pop one in each corner or something like that, or in three of the corners. It gives you flexibility. You can move your furniture around to wherever you've always got a PowerPoint somewhere.
Yeah.
Even if it's not perfect, you can have a small lead under your bed or something like that. It's not the end of the world, but yeah, it just gives you that. And same with positioning of switches and how many lights people have. Often it's overlooked. So yeah.
But just on this, just for everyone listening, if you have a brick home and you get your PowerPoints on an internal wall wrong, How easy is that to fix?
It's not at all. It's pretty much cutting a new channel into the wall, running a cable, putting the power point, then someone's like a plasterer's coming in, a painter's coming in. It's often a $2,000 power point to get a new one put in afterwards. So, once the painting and fixing up, everything's done. So it's a lot to miss out on if you don't get it right.
100%. I think the answer to that is ideally, I had a client the other day and they had their TV on one wall, and I actually disagreed with them when we were in the design phase. I said, I wouldn't put it there, I'd put it somewhere else. And they went, oh, no, we're happy there. Anyway, brickwork's up, walked through the home with them, and they went, oh, you know what, the TV would be better on this wall. I went, oh, really? Oh, what a great idea. But luckily for them, on the other side of that was their pantry. Yep. So I said, look, we can run the conduit on an eternal single-leaf brick wall. We can run the conduit down that side. It's inside a pantry, doesn't really matter, and that could fix that problem. But that was just lucky. If that was a bedroom on the other side, then you don't have that ability. But in saying that, though, I mean, I guess that's not in all timber homes, but a timber framed home gives you that luxury to be able to change it, that flexibility a bit more. Is that correct?
Yes and no, but there's still often, if there's noggins in the walls and things like that, it's still really difficult to get down the walls. So it's great to get it right the first time. And look, for the sake of, a builder might charge you $300 for a PowerPoint. If it's in a really difficult place, it might cost you $500 later. Yeah. So it's probably worth it.
Yeah, get it right.
If you're not sure, just do it. But generally, if you can walk around and get an idea and a feel for your home before the last thing you want to do is the first time you're walking through your home is when it's finished. And
absolutely,
unfortunately, a lot of builders do that. The clients are locked out until the end, and then they come in and go, ooh.
Wait a second, what have we done? Well, you actually said something brilliant the other day, and I went, oh my gosh, it's so obvious, but why? I don't know why builders don't do it. And that is that when you're at plate height, so that's the brickworks up for people listening at home, that all builders should have a meeting with their clients to that point, because you haven't chased it through the wall yet. You haven't put the conduits in. Have a chat, look at the house physically and go, actually, I don't want it there, I want it here. And the builder can still charge for X amount anyway, and just here's your allowance for things, so the pricing can be done. And then the clients can then talk about where they want it, because they can physically see it, as opposed to trying to read it off a plan that they're not used to doing, and trying to guess where they want it so far in the future. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, we do that as often as we can. We do a lot of renovations, like big renovations for one builder, and he's generally one of those guys that there's no fixed plan all the time. So the clients sort of come in and out of the jobs, and as things progress, they change their minds and they see different things. And I always try and get them in at the start and go around with the plan with them and say, right, this is the door, here it is, here's the switch. Does that make sense to you? Yep, you're going to come in here, switch on the switch, your power points are here, you've got X amount of lights.
Yeah, is this what you want?
Do you want to have a fan in here? I notice you haven't got air conditioning, all those things. And it's a huge eye-opener for them, because they don't know. Yeah. And we're in the industry, like you said, I've done this 20-odd years, so it's just second nature to us to go through and see all these things. And,
and you've seen the mistakes people have made before. You guys at Learings Electrical, another plug, but basically can go, hey, this is something we've seen before. Do you want this? And if they don't want it, it's fine, but at least they've got an opportunity to do it.
We saw it the other day. We noticed there was no aircon in this house, because the guy was, I'm going to save some money and do it later or whatever. And we said, okay, no worries. And it was just one light in the middle. We said, are you sure you're not maybe in the future going to think about putting a fan in here or a second light or something like that? Yeah. Oh, maybe, I was like, well, we can run an extra cable up there, and then it's one less hassle later, or we can put a conduit in the wall or something, so there's access later on. But a lot of people sort of, they don't think about it, so it's a hard one.
Well, they're the little things that are actually major things later. I mean, every mistake I've ever made with a home, and I don't think I make that many, but I certainly remember, I can list every mistake I made on every home ever, but because it grinds your gears. But if you had someone advising you on that, like you guys, that would be amazing, just to give you that extra thought and make sure you get it right.
And often if it's not brought to your attention, it's just an inconvenient thing that the builder's sending you, going, hey, can you sign off on this drawing? Yeah. And you go, oh, I don't really know. Yeah, sure, that looks great. And then
absolutely,
it's actually really, really important to make sure things are in the right spot when it comes down to it, because you've got to live there. So.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. The other thing with that as well, I think walking around at that stage at when the walls are up, even if after electrical's been done, I'm not talking about you guys here, but there was a company that I built a home through a long time ago, and they came out there, and on the plans it said that the power points are centred. Now, centred to me would mean in the centre, but according to this people it was off in the corner. And I made the mistake of actually checking it at PCI, the final inspection of the home. So they're meant to be centered. I had a cabinet that was meant to go here. It was meant to be the plugs behind the TV, and it was meant to be smart wires that would actually connect the two together. And they put it off to the side. I said, oh, well, oops, sorry, yeah, it should have been centered. Our bad. And then I said, well, can you center this? I said, well, we have to rip down the wall. We have to re-plaster it. We have to do all the painting again. It's going to take 6 weeks. I was in a rental at the time. I had to get out, so I just lived with it. But checking it at that stage is crucial, you know, to make sure that things are in the right place, because you can fix it reasonably easily at that point as opposed to too late.
Yeah, and often, like you said, things are put on electrical plans as placeholders, and no one picks up on it at the time. And we always see, you know, why are there 5 power points in the laundry? Yeah. Oh, maybe it's for this, maybe it's for that. It's like, well, let's figure this out, because you shouldn't need one at 1500 high on the wall up there. Like, you know, where's the dryer going? Oh, there isn't one. Okay, well, what's going up there? Oh, nothing. Okay, so it's a waste of time. Yeah. So,
well, that's awesome about you guys, that you actually question this to make sure you're getting the right outcome for the client, rather than just going, okay, if that's what they want, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the clients, although I think the building industry treats them like they're experts, most people aren't, because there's so much to know. And if they can't read a plan, they can't read a plan. Let's help them do it, rather than just assume that, you know, if something seems odd, let's question it. Well, you can't question everything, but, you know.
I've worked for bigger builders before where they, you know, you do question stuff and they go, no, it's not up to you to worry about. That's our sales team's problem and all that. Just do it as per the plan. That's what you're getting paid for. That's it. And you go, okay.
Yeah.
And clearly the satisfaction of their customers is probably not as high as others.
No, absolutely. And that's that just get it out, get it done, don't question it. But on that, just you talked about before about single light in the room. Now you know, what's the benefit? Can you do a junction box, which is basically just for people at home, that you got the light switch going up to a box in the roof that an electrician can then run wires off, correct me if I'm wrong here, run wires off that later and put the lights where you want to. Is that the way to go if people aren't sure what they want to do, or they want to try and save money and get an electrician in later? Or are they better off just doing one light in the corner of the room? What is the best way to do that?
You've got to put a little bit of thought into it, I guess. And if you're trying to, I guess if your end goal is you've got a big room that you're going to one day have 6 lights in or something like that, put one light in where one of those 6 is going to go.
Yeah.
And then, yes, you can come off those later, or you can have, like you said, you can have extra cables up there for chandeliers in the future or something else.
Yeah, okay.
But if you just put one in the centre and then you're not going to have one there 6 months later, then it's another patch job to do or whatever.
Yeah.
So it might look odd for the first 3 months of your time in your house. Why have you only got one light over in this corner?
Yeah.
But you get someone in, it's easy to go off of that, put 5 more in, and away you go. So
what about junction box? Is that a good way to go, or you just put up to the one
so
light?
we do that all the time with houses. People always have this idea that they want to have like a pendant light over their kitchen bench or whatever, and I think 90% of people would not know what sort of light they want until they've moved in and get a feel for it, and they go and look at some lights and do all that sort of stuff. So that's exactly the case. We have a cable ready to go, junction box in the roof, and it's literally when you're ready to go, they buy the pendant, we put it up, join the cables, done.
Gotcha,
so,
absolutely.
And it's already connected to a switch, it's all ready.
Yeah, so you have to wire off that,
Yeah, so for a little bit of time in the house, there's a switch in the kitchen that doesn't do anything, but it does that cable up there.
Perfect.
Ready for something else. So.
I can't tell you how many houses that I've been to. Like I built a house for them, and they go, we're just going to put one light in the corner. And then, 5 years later, they want to build another home, and I've gone out to the home to have a look at it again, and there's still that one light in the corner, and it's going, we never quite got around to that. So if you're building a house or renovating, make sure you do get around to that, because it's if you don't, I've got a rule. If it doesn't happen the first 3 to 6 months, it's just, you're not going to do it.
And if you're one of those procrastinators, then just do it first, and it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. Get you out there and make it work, which makes a lot of sense to me. What kind of what are common things that you see that people make mistakes doing, or people miss, or they should do?
Often, like I said earlier, not enough power points in rooms. Heaps of people get the old, we're only getting an allowance of 20 power points by the builder. So they'll make sure the kitchen's perfect, everything else perfect, and then there's one in every bedroom.
Yeah.
And it's it used to be a story years ago that we can put heaps of we can put as many power points as you want on a cavity wall because we can get up the wall easy. It's not even the case these days because the last few years there's been new changes to energy efficiency and there's thermal insulation in the walls and all sorts of stuff now, which makes it hard to get down.
That's an awesome point because I was thinking the same thing you just said then. So putting it through a cavity wall is an external wall, by the way, double brick. So if you try to, it's not that easy anymore.
So it is a lot harder. So heaps of guys when doing new builds, we used to run the cables through the cavity to all the exterior power points in a new build. Most of the time now we're chasing those in.
Yeah, wow.
It's such a hard thing to get up and down the walls now. So
there you go. All these new energy efficiency stuff is making
it just makes it hard to retrofit things later on, really. So
so just get it right the first time.
I guess getting your lighting right. Some people, they might get a lighting designer or someone to look at their plans. I find there's not a lot of great lighting designers around that don't work for a lighting company that are just trying to sell you things.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be an excess of lights. Instead of 4 lights in a normal room, they're going to try and give you 6.
Yeah.
With a chandelier in the middle or something else.
Yeah.
And then just overcomplication of things. We often see in a kitchen or dining room area or living area, like the entrance to that, you might come around the corner and there's 8 switches on the wall.
Yeah.
And you're like, what on earth is this? And that one does the pot plant light in the corner, and this one does the cupboard light over here.
Yeah.
And this one's for the under the stairs, and this one's for this. And you just, like I've said to you before, we're creatures of habit. You're coming in with the shopping, you want to reach around the corner and just flick the light on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But if you're just like,
you don't have to do a Rubik's Cube of lights.
So, and it's just those little frustrations that they're not huge frustrations that you are going to ruin your life, but it's like every time you flick the wrong switch on, you're like, bugger, do it again. So there's that sort of stuff.
On that note, is there an order of switches that you do? I mean, you mentioned earlier that there's like you do top left is X, and is that how you do it? If you have like
I guess it's the most commonly used light. So if it's in your kitchen and you might have the general working lights. Would be the top switch, and then maybe the pendants over your bench would be the next one, and then like if there was like cupboard lights or something like that, that would be the third one. Sort of in order of how often you're not coming in and turning your mood lighting on straight away.
Yeah, gotcha.
You're coming into the room in the morning to make your coffee.
It's got to make sense.
You want it lit up so you can see what you're doing, and
100%, especially before coffee.
It
always helps. There's nothing worse when people ask you a complicated question. Let me have a coffee, and I'll answer it. So on that, what are your thoughts on dimmers and two-way switches and three-way switches?
Two-way switches are great for like long hallways and things like that. Where I always tell people it's like you want to think of the situation when you're leaving the lounge room, you're going to bed, and you're heading off, and then all of a sudden there's a light down the other end of the house that's on. You go, bugger. And you got to go all the way. Like it'd be if that light's forever on or whatever, which is hard in hindsight to know. But the main lounge room, you could have a light at this end towards your bedroom, and one at the kids' end. To turn those off, because then when they go to bed, they switch the light off. When you go to bed, you switch it off or on, or vice versa. So
my kids don't switch any lights off ever, so that'd be great.
I get accused the same. Leaving all the lights on.
I remember my dad used to go through the house. You look how much my bill's going to be. He's doing that, and that now I'm doing it. Oh my gosh! Now I see where he comes from. But that's actually a really good point. So we go through a whole electrical plan with our clients, and a big thing that I see that people do on plans is they'll put, let's say it's a two-way light switch. They'll put one light near the front door, and the other light somewhere down the hallway near the kitchen. And you're there going, well, guys, first of all, you've got garage door entry to your home. So most of you coming and going will probably be through that light switch. So then if you didn't get that right, you have to walk through the front door, walk through the garage door, walk to the front door to turn the light on. And then you've also got to think the other way is that you want to, in your, let's say your open plan kitchen meals family area, you probably want a few switches there to turn all that area on at once, or just one. When you come home, like you said, you don't want to have just the meals area. You got to go to the next area, just then turn the family room light on, and then you have to turn the next area onto the kitchen, because that you might be on the way to the kitchen. You don't have to turn a light on it every 3 meters.
And it's just about a bit of planning, I suppose. If you can add an extra light on the end of your hallway that doesn't look ridiculous in another room and gives enough light so you can walk through. It's only got to be functional enough for you to make it to the next area. So
get you where you've got to go. 100%.
And then. But we see it a lot with heaps of complicated switches and then there's 7 2-ways at one thing which does this, and that does the patio, and that does this, and that does that.
Yeah.
And then again, it just makes it more complicated.
And a little instruction manual beneath it about, okay, number 1 goes to.
And you go a year later and people have got these little labels stuck under all the because they don't know what does what.
You're doing it wrong, absolutely. And again, I think it's people being rushed at the time and not thinking out what they need to do, which is pretty huge. But the other things the recommendations I do, and you might be able to add some to this, is with clients is I tell them when you're at the electrical thing, print out your plans to 1 to 100, so 1 centimetres, 1 metre, and then draw in your furniture. Like physically draw in your furniture. It doesn't have to be locked in stone, but at least you've got an idea. And it's like, okay, where are the study desks going to go? Where are the couches going to go? Are you going to have a lamp in that room? Especially beds, and that's the one that still irks me. My last house. I mean, I'm in the building industry. I've been doing this for years, and I still remember going to my master bedroom and seeing my bed, bedside tables, and 2 pounds. Oh no! The builder stuffed it up, and nope, I missed it, and no one questioned me at all. And I just still to this day, that was 11 years ago. Still to this day, it grates me that I missed that because I should have known better. But I was rushed, as everybody is. But that's the thing. If you draw your furniture in, that really, especially if you're not used to building, it really helps you work out where things are and where they're going to be, and you can still change it, but at least you're forcing you to think about it, and then do an audit. Like, are you going to be charging your iPad, iPhone? What's going to happen in those? Is that your drop zone? What do you need?
Generally when we do PowerPoints in a bedroom or something as well, we go off the, like most people have got a queen size bed or a king size bed. There's not a lot of difference in them.
Yeah.
So we basically sort of centre that and then put the PowerPoints within that area of where the bedside tables are going to be, because like I said, you don't want them sticking out over here and then cords everywhere, and then even if they end up behind the bed because they move it slightly, that's not the end of the world either, because it's hidden away. So,
but sticking in the middle of the wall, not it's okay, but it's ideally avoid that.
But it's the same with charging and things like that. If the biggest place where people charge their stuff is like on the end of their kitchen bench or something. Everyone's getting a PowerPoint at the end of their bench now. We always say, this should be PowerPoint with USBs in it.
Because then makes sense.
You've got to, otherwise we've got one at home. Same thing. I'm a Sparky. I should know better, but we've got one at home. No USBs. So and there's all that's ever plugged in there is chargers. So then you go to use the toaster. You're like, bloody chargers.
Unplug everything. Exactly right.
It's one of those things. It's every day I go, I'll change that one day, but never do.
I've been talking to my family about renovating a house for about 3 years now. And every time I get home, I go, can we talk about this tomorrow night? There's only so long I can delay this. On that note, some people ask us about PowerPoints in slabs, and then you have a concrete slab because we want to, we have a couch in the middle of the room. Or Is that hard to do? I mean, because it has to be a pretty good surface over top with it. Is that?
It's possible to do, but it should be done sort of at the pre-lay stage.
Oh, that's what I mean. I don't mean retrofitting. I mean,
before it's a possibility too. We've done it on a fair few houses before, but it's not an easy job, and it's a messy job and whatnot. But in the pre-lay stage, it's an easy thing. You've basically got to buy a sort of made box that goes in the slab that the PowerPoint goes into, and they end up you just ended up with them about a mil or two higher than the floor, and they're just a little flap.
But if you plug something in there, it's got to be an eyesore. First of all,
generally the idea
and also a trip hazard.
The idea is to have it under the couch or something like that, or under a big desk. We did one recently with a desk like this that was right in the middle. And that's where it was. And when it's closed and not being used, it only sticks up like a mil.
But if you plug something in it permanently, you got a plug sticking out. Right?
You've got the cord sticking out.
So it's not. So I guess on a desk that you're never going to move, then that makes sense.
It's not an ideal thing if you're. Maybe we'll put a table there, so we'll put one there. And they're expensive, and a lot of work. So it's probably not, unless it's something you're definitely going to have something there. Then
avoid it. That makes sense. Is there? The other things that I talk to clients about is that I say put your family members and track where they're going to be. So let's say little Johnny's in a bedroom or your daughter or something like that, and they're scared at night. How do they turn the light on? It's a really good way of trying to get them to work out where people walk in the home at different times. So if you're just like a 2-story home and mum and dad are upstairs in their bedroom and the kids are downstairs. How do they, if they're scared at night, how do they turn the light on? And then how do they get to you and all the light switches in the right spot?
That's good. I've never thought of that.
That's because that's the thing you think about. You go, well, how's each person in the home going to use it? You know, if I'm starving in the middle of the night, which happens a fair bit, how do I make my way to the kitchen, and turn the lights on? And I just think that the more people can just explore these scenarios, how do you do it? I mean, a big one for me that I also talked about is a couple of things. Is one, you've got people coming over, because I always talk lifestyle with clients. So you've got people coming over and, oh my God, you forgot, and they're going to be at your house in 10 minutes. And you come home, you park the car, you want to turn the light on, turn all the lights on the home pretty quickly. You don't want to be going around trying to find switches. And, at the same time as you want to, on the same vein is, I see it all the time, that people have the kitchen and they might have the living area near that, and to turn the light on to the outdoor areas on the opposite side of the kitchen.
Yeah.
Whereas most likely you want it near the kitchen to turn the light on at the back. And then the other one on that as well is that they don't, you want to have lighting inside to light up your backyard. So if you hear a noise in the backyard, or like my dog does is barking somewhere in my backyard when she wants to go out at night, I want to be able to light up my backyard from an internal switch for that safety. I find these are important things to think about, which I'm sure majority of people don't.
Yeah, I think that sort of stuff comes down to individuals. We've done houses in the past where the lady was really, really paranoid, and she had a couple of light switches next to her bed that turned on like security lights at the front and back of her house and all that stuff.
Awesome, yeah.
And that was a thing that she sort of, she was like, I'm actually really worried all the time. She had cameras everywhere and all that. So that was a big thing for her to have that. Whereas most people are like, it'll be right, the sensor light will come on, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and that comes down to the same, just selecting the right areas to have lights, like over your driveway near your cars and things like that, and have sensors to turn things on and whatnot. So, but yeah, I guess that's something I've never really thought much about, but yeah, if it's really important to the people, they generally will talk about it with you or with the builder. So,
well, what are your thoughts on sensor lights? Anything to look out for, or good, or?
I think just the same. Keep it basic. Like there are heaps of sensors on the market that they claim that you can put 3 sensors together and it'll all work perfectly. They do work okay, but the more and more you add and the more complicated you make it, like anything, things go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. The more moving parts, the more things that don't work.
Just the sensor or sensor light above the garage or something. So when you drive in, it turns on the front lights. And that's the simplest way. We have it often where you're looking at the plan and you're going, okay, what? There's 13 lights at the front of this house. And these 2 are supposed to be on sensors, and you're like, what? And then when you actually talk to the clients, they're like, we have no idea.
Yeah, we just
do it the way it's meant to be.
Yeah.
So you end up just doing it the simplest way, and they're always happy with it. So
weird. So you're saying if you talk to clients, you get a better outcome. That's weird.
It's crazy.
That makes no sense to me. That's crazy. Well, on that same note, because I actually recommend to a lot of clients that in like walk-in linens, even walk-in robes and that you just put a sensor light in there. Just so you can walk, like if your hands are like let's say a drop zone or a pantry or something like that you go in there, your hands are normally full of shopping, that the light goes on. But also, like my point earlier, that kids don't turn lights off, that you can actually do it that way. Are your thoughts on that, or is it a good idea, terrible idea?
They're a great idea, and they're an easy sort of a way to automate a lot of things in your house without spending thousands and thousands on home automation systems and all that stuff. It's like a couple of $100 you can have a couple of sensors around your house sort of thing, and
magic.
They're pretty cheap these days. So
brilliant.
And they sit up in the roof. You don't see them. So and you can still have it so that you can switch the light on as well. So and leave it on, or the sensor comes on. So no, they're a great idea for high traffic areas and things like that. We often see it in like bigger homes where you go in and out the internal door to the garage and stuff like that. And they've got one in there because it's always pitch black in the garage. And you walk in, you trip over a scooter, or you bump into the car or something. And generally the switches are away from the door as well. So
normally you bump yourself or hurt yourself, and then the light comes on. That's how I find it. Oh, that's where it was. Thanks, that's great. It was just wrong spot, which is important. On that note, when you what are things that you think people miss with their home? To me, I was thinking light out where the washing line is. You can see that. Is there things that you see normally, or is it just a general?
A lot of the time, just having lights in functional areas outside. If you've got a big garage, for example, and you've got a big sort of, a big talking to them about like, are you going to have like a nice pool area out the back and
Great idea,
a cabana or something like that, and getting something out there to make that work, that you can switch on from your back door, that you don't have to go out to the pool house and switch on a power point in the backyard. And then you're fighting all the spiders and the things to get your lights on. And then the same with like if you're running cables over to a pool pump and all that sort of stuff, you run another cable over there for the pool light, so you can still switch that on from your back door.
That's a great point.
Which that's often overlooked. People get the pool package, and the light's all there, but it's connected up to the power points in your pool house.
Yep.
And you've got to go in there and turn it on. So
should you have another one again for your like lighting up your back landscaping and that, or just did you have to have the two?
Well, no, you could do everything together. Yeah, it's sort of again, if you keep it simple, it's better, because if you're going to turn your garden lights on, you're probably not going to be turning them on and not having the pool light on.
Yeah.
So
of course. Yeah.
So if you're going to be out there entertaining or doing whatever, you're going to have the lights on. Yeah. So that's a big one. Like you said earlier, Christmas lights and things like that. If someone's into that, just say to them, hey, we can put a couple of power points up here. You can plug all your lights in. There's no cords running.
Walk me through that, because I said that before the podcast started. So walk me through what you're saying there.
Basically, like, we can put power points sort of up under the eaves of your house or something like that. If you're right into putting up Christmas lights all over your roof and all that sort of stuff. So I've seen heaps of occasions with power boards hanging off gutters and things like that. You get a bit of rain and everything goes wrong. And so you can do
European vacation happening, or Christmas vacation.
So you can have those. You can have those sort of set up again to have a switch near your front door or something like that you can just have them on.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome idea. Awesome idea, because that, if you do want to do that, or even if you want to light something up one time, Halloween, Christmas, whatever it might be, having that, because in my current home, we have the window open because Halloween's big on my street, and we have the cords going out. It's great. Look there, and then you got flies coming in. It's like, what's happening? It's going. Maybe we should put a switch outside next time. But yeah, I think they're I think they're really important to think about those things. Getting back to the backyard garden thing that you were talking about then. A lot of people that we speak to, they go, look, we'll think about the garden later. We're just going to think about the home first, and we'll get a landscape or whatever out there. To do what you're talking about, let's say we are planning a pool. We don't know where it's going to go. We don't know what lighting we're going to do. It's all too soon. Let's get the house right. What should they allow for to set themselves up best for options when you get someone in later?
They could basically... we do it all the time. We basically, like you said earlier about having a junction box in the roof for future stuff, you have a similar sort of thing on the outside of your house down low, sort of closest to like where the future pool may be or the garden lights may be.
Yep.
And you just have all the cables that you will need for all that stuff.
So pool pump.
Just in there waiting.
Yep.
And then if you never use them, They're there. It's just a little box on the wall.
Yep.
But yeah, when it comes to, we're going to dig that across and do all that, it's right there. You're not climbing through the roof, running cables and doing all that stuff later on and adding switches and stuff in for stuff you haven't thought about. And yeah, it's all just there. So you can future-proof for that sort of stuff. If you've got like major works happening in your backyard and then retaining walls and things going in, it's always a good thing to just think about getting some conduits, which are basically empty pipes under all the walls and over to your house, sort of, so that
great idea.
You're not digging up your lawn later and all that sort of stuff. So there's heaps of those sort of things. Generally builders and stuff will sort of hopefully bring that up with the clients.
Sure they will. Yeah. Well,
that's why we try and do it.
I guess who you're dealing with, if you've got smaller builders who are normally like you're one of only a few clients, and they probably will. Yeah. If you get to the big machine builders,
that's right. The bigger builders are not. You're just another thing to crank out. So.
Absolutely. So that's good. Or if you're not sure, speak to someone like yourself and go, hey, what do we need to think about? Because I know it seems minor now, but it's actually a major thing later, and it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
But look, I think it's really important. Now, before I forget, because it just occurred to me, and I've got to say this, please, if you're listening at home, please hardwire your doorbell or ring or whatever you've got. I would say 60% of the homes I go to, doorbell doesn't work. I'm standing out there, the dog's barking at me, going nuts, and everyone's heard me but the people in the home, and it's normally raining at this time too, and I'm drowning. Because people put in batteries, and then the batteries run out, and you forget about it. Not many people wake up on a Saturday, better check those batteries in the house. So, please hardwire them. You know, they're the things that I think people forget about. Even if you've got an electric fence at the front, make sure you hardwire the ring or whatever it might be, because you'll be forever changing the batteries and it's basically dead.
And it's the same if you've got a big grand house that you're making in the big sort of gate at the front and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of work going into that. Put cabling out to the front for future intercoms and things like that, because it's really hard later on to do. Especially we get to jobs all the time where people go, I want to put an intercom in, and it's 90% of the front yard's concrete. Yeah, and there's a few little garden beds. Yeah, I'm like, how can we do it?
Yeah, just one wire from the roof straight out. It's good look, you know.
You can't have one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you sort of say, well, you can, but it's going to be a $40,000 intercom.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need a new driveway and a new this and a new that, and so everything's possible, but yeah.
But yeah, again, that comes back to, look, if you are going to do some electrical stuff later, it wouldn't hurt to ring Learings Electrical up and go, okay, hey, we're thinking about this. What should we think about? And then obviously you wouldn't do it if we weren't going to engage you, but just give someone a quick look at the plans. You know, a stitch in time saves nine. What you do now might be, hey, just add this now. It might cost you a couple $100. We'll save you thousands later. Or even worse, sorry, we can't do it. There's nothing we can do about it to make that work. So I think it's good.
Look, I'm always happy to give people advice on things. You know, it's yes, you might not get the work, but you know, it's just good to get people to do things the right way. I think so.
Awesome. But with the 15 million people listening to this podcast, maybe not that many, but at the end of the day, no, it's good, and it's really, I love the fact that you care and that you are forthcoming, trying to help people get the best outcome for them rather than do it. And that's where independent building advice, it's a big thing that we're about, is giving people the right advice, and it's cool that you've got similar sort of outlay with business. Okay, changing subjects, home automation, smart homes, your thoughts?
Look, if you're that guy that is at the pub showing your mates your latest, cameras, and look, the dog's doing a poo in the backyard. look and watch. Check it out.
Who isn't into that?
I can zoom right in, and the kids have just got home, and I can turn the fridge on and do the shopping list on that. Then yes, it's good for you. A lot of it's like I guess to dumb it down, you've got. You generally have like sensors around the place that turn on lights, and you can you link your sound system to the different rooms, and you can shut window louvers and garage doors and all sorts of stuff through apps basically and whatnot. It can be as complicated or as simple as you want, and if you ride into that sort of thing and you want to have it, it's generally going to cost you between 10 and 20 grand more to do all that stuff, and then generally end up with a big cupboard in your hallway or something, just full of blinking lights and cords and things like that. We actually went to one today, and the guy was like, "Can you tell me what all this is?" And even I was going, "Oh, I think that does this." And because there's so much going on there. But look, we're not experts on it by any means, but and I know I'm a simple guy. I like to come in and just turn the light on and walk in. I've been to houses before where someone's got a particular product that turns on your lights through a phone, and they're like, check out this. And, hang on, what's my phone number? Oh, what's my PIN number? And a minute and a half later, you're like, what are we doing? You could have switched the light on. So, if you're that sort of person, it's probably going to be more annoying for you to have all that stuff. But look, as I said, I'm no expert on it. So we sort of do pretty simple stuff most of the time.
That's great.
But yeah, look, if it's your thing, I think it's cool.
Yep.
But yeah, for me, sort of. We just keep it as simple as possible. I think it's the best way.
Well, on that same vein then, let's say, look, I mean, I'm similar to you that, I don't use like the series, things like that in the world. I just turn a switch on if I want to. But at the same time though, like there are some things I want to, if you have like electric blinds, then maybe you can get a switch on the wall rather than having to use your phone for it. And, with a skylight, I'm a big believer of the blind. So, you can't reach up there, you've got to have something done it. But if you have to go on your phone all the time, or your phone's dead, you sort of close the blind. I'm for practical rather than too technical. Are there things people can do to future-proof their home that will save you? I don't want anything now, but I'm worried in the future that they can do that, or that's not your wheelhouse?
For the smart stuff, generally there's a lot of systems out there now which are like Bluetooth mesh sort of systems. So you end up with like a smart
I've got one
technology sort of thing in your home. you put like a router in and it connects up to your Wi-Fi, and then you get a Bluetooth mesh sort of signals between all your switches and all that. So you can do a lot. They're a bit of money to set up, but you can get the same sort of things out of that. But you can retrofit
just on that, can I just explain that so people listening? So what it is that you have a modem, and your modem normally has a range of probably 8 metres, if you're lucky, 6 to 8 metres. It's funny that in my house, where my study is quite far away from the modem, so I would move a metre and my signal would be so much faster, it's driving me nuts. So you can get a system that what that does is actually, it's not an extender of your modem, but it's almost like a separate modem. So your main modem will capture another modem, so to speak, and then that will be, you get another 8 metres from that area, and then have another one that'd be 8 metres. So as long as it gets the signal, it amplifies it, as opposed to extender. The extenders don't really work, and that's the idea of a mesh system. If you need, like I've got a 2-story, I've got kids upstairs, they need internet. I'll have one upstairs, one down. That's sort of a very basic way of explaining how it works.
Yeah, and you can pre-run cables.
Yep.
Now, so basically, when in a new house now, we have the NBN comes into the side of the house, and then a conduit goes into the. Most of the time, it's in the garage, and then the modem is in the garage, which is not really close to anything.
Yeah.
So then from there, we run cabling from there to different points in the house, generally behind all the TVs and things like that.
Yeah.
So you can connect your TV directly to the internet through hard wiring rather than Wi-Fi, but you can also put a booster there and double the signal sort of thing. Or if it's an office, we do them there as well. So
and that comes down to good planning, is to get that right.
Yeah. And then heaps of people don't think about that. Like a lot of plans, we see, you don't have any data cabling around the place. No one uses phones anymore. So it's different. It only takes a little bit of explaining to.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you want to know about it before, not after.
And then the last thing you want is your modem's here, and then in your 2-story house right in the corner, you've got no signal.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's horrible. But on that note, what we generally allow for, so you have a builder has their standard PowerPoint and lighting layout, which is pretty standard, which is normally one light per room, one double PowerPoint per room. We generally allow $5,000 extra over that for clients to spend more money. I mean, I had a lady spend $20,000 in her home just upgrading. I didn't realise you could do that. The house wasn't that big. I've had other people who have gone, that's perfect. It's really, but we always, no builder really allows enough. So we always try to allow a bit of a buffer for clients. And, we do try to, with all the hidden costs, we try to look out for our clients and say, hey, it's not enough, you need to spend more money here or more money for pre-start or whatever. But I think it's an important one to allow a buffer, because what you think you need is probably more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then there's still, like I've said a million times to people, there's still ways of allowing for things on a cheap way that you might want in 5 years' time. Like, for example, we might get an electric car later. You can run a cable or a conduit to your garage or whatever and have it sitting there doing nothing behind a junction box for 10 years. And then when you finally decide to get the electric car, you don't have to spend the $2,000 to get it done later on. It's just right there. So
can you retrofit that? Can you do that after?
Yeah,
easily.
You can put it in. Solar's a big thing that people get put in afterwards. And then the only sad thing is you've got your beautiful new home, and then every now and then you've got some conduits coming down near the front door, and your inverter sitting there at your front door.
Yeah, gotcha.
Your nice house, So if you do planning for that, you can run some conduits from like the back side of your house where where the bins go and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Up into the roof and ready to go, so someone else can use them later, and it saves work. It probably saves you money when you get the stuff done. So, and the same if you're thinking, maybe we're going to have battery storage later on. We'd probably put it down there. So you can do the exact same thing, cable or conduit down there. Yeah. And just to run an empty pipe down to something is not a huge amount of money. So,
well, what you just said there is great, actually. So let's say, what we find with a lot of clients, so they design a home, they have every intention to get solar. I think 90% of people want to have solar. Yep. Unfortunately, what we also find that if you're maxing out on your budget, the first thing to go is solar. I will just do that later. What if I was going to do it later? What do I need to allow for an electrician now so they can easily do that later?
They just need to make sure that there's, like, the actual switchboard of their house, like the meter box or whatever, is somewhere that's accessible for someone in the future.
For solar,
We just did a house recently, and I don't know who designs these things, but the meter box was actually off on this little parapet wall a metre away from the house, and all the cabling has to go through this. Yeah. So I just said to the guys, let's just chuck 2 or 3 extra cables in and just leave them up in the roof. Yeah. Because someone's going to come here in years to come, and maybe us even. in a month's time.
Yeah, exactly.
Go, how the hell are we going to get down here? So
Yeah.
And then, so if there's something like that, or a spare conduit or something like that to get down to the meter box, then that's all they need. And then generally you just need to put some forethought into where you want your inverter and all that stuff, because they're big, and they're noisy and they're light.
They're not pretty.
And you don't want it at your front door. So,
no. Well, unless you're into that, then
And then for 2-story homes, basically you need to get from the roof of the second story down to where the switchboard and where the inverter is going to be. So either cabling or conduit for that as well.
As you said, it's hard to do these days down a cavity wall because of all stuff, isn't it?
And generally you end up with, on the side of your 2-story house, some pipes coming down. So
well, that's not look you probably signed up for.
If you just spent $1 million on a house.
Tell me about it. Changing subject completely. We've got a often, which I am totally baffles me why they let them do them, but you have these people doing these subdivisions, and they'll often do a subdivision, and the block's due to come out, and for some reason the subdivision company is allowed to sell you the block, and you settle on the block, but the power in that's still not in yet, because obviously Western Power's miles behind. What can you do to get power on site? Because is getting a generator. Because the problem is, let me explain that further. What actually happens is that the power's not there, you've settled on your land, you've paid all your money for the land, the builder will require power and water to actually build the home. You're paying for your land now, the builder can't actually start. And, obviously it's a very via subdivision, whether it's a block or whatever, but let's say it's just a battle axe house behind. What can you do to get power to that block at that stage? Is generator there the answer, or are there other options? Because if the builder can't start, a lot of the big builders especially, they'll hit you with a price rise, and it's going to cost the client a lot of money. But it's not their fault, but it's not the builder's fault either.
Generally, you find that that's a sort of someone's bought a house, say in Belmont or somewhere like that, with a big block, and they've cut the back block into one or two and sold them off. Generally, what's supposed to happen is, depending on the type of subdivision, it is. Generally, people do a survey strata subdivision because it's cheaper to do and easier to do. And you're supposed to have like a main switchboard at the front of that block, which services all 2 or 3 blocks. But as part of that process, you're supposed to apply for a new green dome through Western Power. But they can take up to 6 months to do. So if it's not done, generally what you have is the front house has their overhead power lines there, and then the back blocks have got sort of nothing, and then no green dome to do the easy sort of builder's power connection, which costs like $400 or $500 to do. You can do an overhead temporary supply. So basically we go in, we put like a 6.5 metre pole in the ground, the power lines come off onto that, and then that becomes like a builder's supply so that they can do construction. And
that's temporary until you get the green dome.
And then you can even hook your house up to that if you need to, like if it's going to be a year or so. Till it's
or you have an existing house there already and you're subdividing 2 at the back.
So you can do that as a temporary thing. Generally, they don't let you have sort of, once it's subdivided, you're not really supposed to have 2 supplies. So. But if it's a temporary supply for builders, you can get away with it. So it happens a lot, but it's one of those things I always say to people, and I usually come across it when it's owner builders doing it because they have no idea. Generally, most builders will be like, right, first thing we need to do is let's get your power and water sorted because they take a long time. Whereas we've had heaps before where you go there and the slab's poured and they're starting bricking up. I'm like, oh, where's the green dome?
I feel like we're missing something.
And they go, oh, what's that? Go,
with owner builders just out there, if you are owning a building and planning it, it's a minefield out there, so just be careful with that. It's not often, you might do a course or something, it's not as easy as it seems. And you definitely want to make sure you're connected for experts like yourself that can give you the right advice up front. But it's interesting with that, running that, because that's got to be cheaper than a generator, because generators are not cheap.
No, that's right. And then, I've seen heaps of times where the builders like bring their own little Jenny there and then it goes walkabout. Someone steals or something happens, or
theft on site.
Or they're running a generator that's too small constantly all day and it blows up or whatever. So it's not ideal. So but look, if it's a few weeks.
Perfect.
Then it's not a problem. But if it's going to be a matter of 6 months to a year, then it's best to do that.
Now, on that, if you're demolishing and building a house, the law is, from my understanding, is that if you have overhead power, you have to do the underground, do the green dome at your own cost. Is that right?
If you're, it's pretty rare that, I'm pretty sure you still can have overhead power lines onto your new house. It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
You do see it in places like up in the hills and whatnot, but generally a lot of those blocks will have, if they're a bigger block, they'll have a separate sort of meter box at the front of their block, sort of on the fence line.
And run it to the house.
And then the cables will go up from the house from there.
Yeah.
So that part might be overhead. And
gotcha.
The rest is underground sort of thing. So,
but most in suburbia ones will require you to do the green dome yourself. That's government way of passing the cost on to you.
And it's a better way to have it. It's less tree branches and things falling on.
It's a better look. It's a better look as well. Yeah.
No horrible power lines down the road.
I'm not against it. I just don't want my clients spending more money than they have to. But that's the way.
And it is a substantial cost. I think it's around $4,500 to get a green dome installed. So. Yeah.
What about three-phase? Three-phase, are you good thing for people to do, not a good thing for you to do? The way I see it is electrical vehicles will probably be the future for a lot of people. And if it's not for you, electrical vehicles, that you probably should think about people who might want an electrical vehicle to buy your place. Three-phase make a big difference to that. When should you have three-phase? When should you not have three-phase?
I think if you have a lot of stuff in your house, you should have three-phase. It's always better it sort of gives you a bit more load, a bit more flexibility. But it's not unlimited. Like there's options there. Like if you've got three-phase, you can get a three-phase air conditioner, which might be slightly more efficient. I'm no expert on air conditioners, so it may or may not be. Or you can get the exact same air conditioner that runs off single phase.
Okay.
It's the same with car chargers. It's the same with solar. Everything is adaptable to either one.
Yeah.
So I don't have an opinion of whether you should definitely get that or that. It depends on your circumstances. A lot of the time, if, say for example, there is a subdivision done and they've an allowance for 3 houses that are single phase, so that's 1 per phase basically. So then you're sort of limited, but you still get a lot of power for single phase as well. So neither here nor there with it. I generally try and just do it anyway because I just think it's better to have the capacity there. To sort of have it. So
well, the cost of that bag, I've had costs of something like $1,000 to put in before you build, and then to retrofit it $2,500-3,000.
Oh, so it's well, it's essentially it's a different cable, so it's probably the difference between maybe $150 for your cable if it's only a short run or something to $250 for your cable, and then a different meter panel and a few different things in your switchboard. That's it. So
covers a lot of ground here today, and this is awesome. But now we're down to the most important part of this podcast, and that is Tim. You're building or renovating your own home. It's awesome. You've got the design ready, the whole thing, and then all of a sudden, some distant relative has gone, "Hey, here's $10,000." And guess what? You have to. It's a bit like Brewster's Millions. You have to spend that $10,000 on your home. What would you spend that on if it was your house?
I would have probably paid a landscaper.
Oh, a landscaper. Good landscaper. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good answer.
Because
I didn't say decent electrician. No,
I enjoy doing it all, and like we renovated our house years ago, and there was talk about we can get in and do the grass and do all that. I said, no, I'll do it all myself. And then
how hard can it be?
Yeah, it was 18 months later of walking sand into the house that my wife was like, "Oh, that is it."
Yeah, that's it, done. Good.
So over a few weekends, we were sort of forced into it. But I'd say that definitely. Like it's just you see so many new houses. Like we do work in those typical streets, like in
States,
Byford or somewhere like that, where you go down the road and everyone's moved in, but it's just sand, sand, and then you see like one beautiful lawn and garden and all that with the retic all on and everything, and you think that looks good. But then everyone else stays for a year, and then it's just weeds and gross, and and heaps of people just go, we'll do that ourselves. How hard can it be? And it's one of those things. If you're not a doer, you forget about it.
100%. And you don't wake up in the morning and say, "We're going to landscape," or at least not in the first. If you do, I always say, anything you do in the first 3 to 6 months, otherwise you're just not going to do it. And I remember our last house that we sold, we were going to do all this stuff, and never got around to it. About a week before week before it went on the market, we had finished everything finally for the sale. I went, oh my God, this house is awesome. Why are we selling it? Because we finally finished it, but you just get used to it. And I think that's a really good one. And I also think with landscaping is you're in your living area or whatever, and you're looking out to your backyard. It was a beautiful house, and you're looking at a sandpit or a rough garden that looks crappy. So that outlook changes the entire feel of your home. So I think that's a great way to spend the money.
Yeah.
And 10 grand, if you're clever, I mean, you might do your own lawn, but if you're clever, you can actually go a long way. So I think it's a great investment. So that's a good one. Did you tour with other ideas at all? Or is that that's the...
Oh, look, I think if it was my wife's choice, she would have got security screens on the front of our house.
Yeah.
Because every summer she tells me that someone's going to break in and steal our children and do all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, well, they're not that good.
Well, when she comes on the podcast, she can decide that one. Yeah, kids. Yeah, really. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's if we were in a much worse area and people were trying to get in the windows, it'd probably be higher. But, other than that, no. I've got a funny story where these guys were going to paint their own house, and we did their new house like 3 years ago. And we actually went back a few weeks ago and did some more work, and not one thing was broken. It was still literally not even sealed, like just the gyprock with the plaster and all that stuff. And it's like, never got around to that painting then.
Whoops.
No, life's just gotten in the way.
Yeah. Next month. So
they would have probably chosen to paint.
Yeah. We're all human, mate. We're all human, yeah. I had my house painted. No, you live and learn, and everyone's got perfect intentions. There's not necessarily the time to do it. Tim, you've been amazing, and thank you. Learbuch, Learings Electrical, last name's Learbuch. Learings Electrical are amazing electricians. We use you a fair bit, which is great. Every time I've spoken to you, you've given really good advice. Even my own home you did the other day was great. Thank you. I think I truly mean this. I think you're so professional, and your team's great, really nice. Tied it up afterwards really well. Your stuff in the office here as well. And what's awesome about you guys is that you're a genuine person that actually gives really good advice. So really appreciate it, and we'll definitely get you on the podcast again because there's so much to talk about with electrical. I want to hear I've heard many of your stories about horror stories. I saw a great meme the other day, a video of this guy, and he's an electrician I don't know where he was, probably in America. And he goes, he's looking at electrical, and it's so terrible. And he's there, and he's talking to the owner, and he goes, who did this? He goes, my uncle did it and did the job. And he goes, okay. And when did his house burn down? She goes, about 18 months ago. And then she goes, wait, how did you know the house burnt down? He goes, I don't know. Lucky guess. And it's just terrible. And like people at home, please do not do your own electrical. No. Get an expert in. There's a reason why these guys are highly trained. Safety first. It's just not worth doing. Get an expert in. Hey, this is the end of the podcast. You've been amazing. Thank you. If people like this, please leave a review or leave a comment. The reviews tell us that we're on the right track. The information we're giving you, if you're thinking about building, this is good information for you. Obviously, it makes Tim feel good about himself and me a little bit. But please leave a review, a comment. It's great for us to know the feedback from people. Are we on the right track? Did you enjoy this content? And we really appreciate it. It also helps other people see it. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.